So we're back to the question, how do we resolve uncertainty? And in the fifth chapter, the uncertainties we're resolving are, how do we know that we're learning the right halacha? It's parallel to the uncertainty of the Sotah, the woman who's accused of infidelity by her husband. And we're going to see later the puzzle of the corpse that's found dead somehow in the desert. We don't know how he died or who killed him. We go through these processes to resolve uncertainty. But in this little interlude, this poetic interlude, this halachic and midrashic interlude in the fifth chapter, we're just going to resolve uncertainty about halacha by connecting it to the text. And the key player in this activity is Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva is the one who resolves the tension, if you like, between Rabbi Eliezer, who will only teach what he's taught by his teacher, and Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, who will make all kinds of innovations and creations, just like a fountain of innovation. And Rabbi Akiva sits in between. He innovates, but he innovates from the text. So there's a flood of innovation and growth from Rabbi Akiva, but it's all connected back to the text. And we can see how he works in the final two Mishnayot of the fifth chapter. One is from Rabbi Akiva directly, and one is from his student. So we can see, by the way, the innovation doesn't even stop with Rabbi Akiva. It goes on to the next generation. But let's see the Mishnah. Bo vayom, on that day. All of these expositions, all of these drushes were supposed to be given on that day. This is the day that Rabban Gamliel was deposed as the head of the Sanhedrin, and they opened the gates. They opened the gates of the Beit Midrash. Until that time, entry was restricted. But on that day, they opened up the doors of the Beit Midrash, and people were flooding in, and all kinds of creativity was released on that day. And on that day, Bo Vayom Darash Rabbi Akiva. On that day, Rabbi Akiva expounded. And what verse does he expound? Az Yashir Moshe Uvnei Yisrael Shira Hazot La Shem Vayomaru Lemor. On that day, he expounded the verse. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord, and they said, saying, Vayomaru Lemor. They said, saying. And it's a weird construction. Why do they need to say saying? And Rabbi Akiva points it out. She'ein Talmud lomar lemor ve'lama ne'emar lemor. The Torah didn't need to say the word saying. Why does it say vayomaru lemor? They said saying. Why does it need it? It doesn't. We don't need that extra word. We got an extra word. We're going to drush it. How are we going to drush it? And we know Rabbi Akiva loves to drush anything. He'll even drush a vav, an and. He'll drush anything he finds. He'll drush a repetition. What's he going to say here? Eila shehayu Yisrael onin acharav. But Israel answered after him. Shel Moshe al kol davar v'davar. Israel answered every word after Moses. So how are we saying vayomaru lemor? They said saying. There are two sayers here, right? We got a double use of the word saying, and we're going to have a double type of saying. Moshe is going to say, and then the people of Israel are going to say. Because it's like reading Hallel. When we read Hallel, the reader says the verse Hallelujah, and the whole Kehillah answers Hallelujah. Everybody answers with Hallelujah, the reader. And that seems to be what was going on there, at least according to Rabbi Akiva. Korin et Hallel, just like one reads Hallel, Ashira Lashem ki ga'oka'ah, I shall sing to the Lord, for he is surely triumph. Lechach ne'emar lemor. That is why it says saying. It's a song of exaltation. So it's like Hallel, and that's what the extra word lemor means. They repeated it like Hallel. And Rabbi Nehemiah will disagree. In all of these little snitchets of drush, there's always a commentary. There's always a commentary at the end of the Mishnah. Usually it's positive, but here it's negative. Rabbi Nehemiah Omer koren et Shema hayu korim. They read like one reads Shema. Apparently, in the time of the Mishnah, when they read Shema, it was the same that the prayer leader would read the verse from Shema and everybody else would repeat it. Now, we don't do that nowadays. Nowadays, we have printed books. Actually, we got almost universal literacy in the Jewish community. So everybody's able to read Shema. If you go into the Sephardic communities, of course, the prayer leader reads Shema out loud, which the Ashkenazim don't do. But it seems in the time of the Mishnah, not only would he read it out loud, but he'd read it out loud verse by verse, and then everyone would repeat it. So Rabbi Nehemiah says, look, it's like they read Shema, and that's probably just, we don't know how they read Shema. Anyway, it was like they read Shema, lo korenet Hallel, not like they read Hallel. Maybe they read the whole verse with Shema, whereas with Hallel, they just used to say Hallelujah. They just used to repeat one word. Not sure. Let's keep going. This is not the only drush that happened on that day. And we're going to now drop a generation to a student of Rabbi Akiva, but he must have been in the Beit Midrash that day, right? So this is one of the young kids. This is one of the young kids. In order to understand this drush, we need a verse. So if you don't mind my segueing just for a sec, we'll just look at this verse that we're going to use later. We're going to look at Job, and God says to the Satan, he says, have you seen my servant Job? He ain't kamohu ba'ar. It says none like him on earth. Ish tam v'yashar. He's a perfect and upright man. Yirei Elohim v'sar meira. He fears God and turns away from evil. Turning away from evil seems to be connected to fearing God. And we're going to think, well, does he serve? So does he turn away from evil because of love or because of fear? The text says, Yirei Elohim. He fears God. So let's keep that in mind. And now let's jump into the drush. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hyrcanus, he's a pupil, according to Rashi, he's a pupil of Rabbi Akiva. Bo vayom, on that day, Darash Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hyrcanus. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hyrcanus expounded. Job only served the Holy One from love. Shenemar, hein yikteleni lo ayachel. Although he slays me, I will still wait for him. I.e., I wait for God. I have faith in God, even though he kills me. Even though he kills me. And the Mishnah is going to argue with itself, because it says Adain hadavar shakul, because it's still evenly balanced. When we say lo ayachel, for him I shall wait. Well, the text spells lo, lamed vav, which means for him. But what if we spelt it lamed aleph? What if we changed lo, which means for him, to lo, which means not? We could change the whole translation. It wouldn't say I will wait for him. It will say I will not wait. Yeah, just change a vav to an aleph and it changes from I will wait for him, lo ayachel, I will wait for him, to lo ayachel, I will not wait. And that's the possibility the Mishnah wants to raise. Adain hadavar shakul, it's still balanced. Either lo ani mitzapeh, I wait for him, or ani mitzapeh lo, I don't wait for him. Either it's I will wait for him or I don't wait for him. We're not sure which way round. Talmud Lomar. Well, the Mishnah's got an answer. Talmud Lomar ad egva lo asir tumati mimeni. Until I die, I will not let my integrity go. That's a verse from later on in Job. Until I die, I'll hold on to my tumati, that's my integrity, or my purity, my simplicity. Tam is considered well. Tam is mentioned in that verse we saw at the beginning of the book. Somehow he's going to retain his purity until he dies. So he does seem to serve from love at this point. And now he gets a bit of praise from Rabbi Yoshua. Now this is Rabbi Yoshua, in the generation of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yoshua, the pupil, the direct. This is not Rabbi Yoshua ben Horkanus. This is Rabbi Yoshua, the direct pupil of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Amar Rabbi Yoshua. Rabbi Yoshua said, Mi yegaleh afar mi'einecha, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Who will remove the dust from your eyes, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai? Look, we've actually innovated. We've innovated a new drasha. So we're confronting the question of, can we create new halacha? Because we're creating something which Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai did not know. So we are innovating here, but we're innovating from the text. Who will remove the dust from your eyes? Shehayita doresh kol yamecha. You expounded all of your life. Shelo avadiyo vet hamakom ela miyira. That Job only served from fear. All your life you expounded that Job only served from fear. And you used to quote the verse, actually the verse that we mentioned at the beginning, before we looked at this Mishnah. Ish tam b'yashara, a blameless and upright man, Yirei Elohim Vesar Merah, who fears God and shuns evil. You used to use that verse. But we got two other verses that help us. We don't need just to rely on that verse. Rabbi Yoshua Talmidach, and Rabbi Joshua, your student. Rabbi Joshua was a student of Rabbi Akiva, who is a student of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. So we can see this innovation. It just goes through the generations, right? It doesn't stop with the generation of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yoshua, your student, Limed Sheme Ahava Asa, taught that what he did was from love.